Good afternoon. Welcome to the forecast discussion for March 22nd, 2014. It's currently 12:37 p.m. and we are warming up very nicely throughout the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. We have temperatures in the upper 40s to lower 50s over the northern interior. That's going to warm up into the mid to upper 50s this afternoon. Meanwhile, in the New York City metropolitan area, we have lower to mid 50s for the most part. We have a little bit of a wind coming off the Atlantic over Long Island, keeping temperatures in the upper 40s to lower 50s, but those locations will also warm up into the mid to upper 50s. New York City around 60. Meanwhile, Philadelphia metropolitan area is warming up into the upper 50s to lower 60s, and along the coast, mid 60s. So we have very warm conditions taking hold over the Philadelphia metropolitan area. Look for low to mid 60s throughout the region over there, possibly even a few upper 60s in the, let's say, central southwestern portion of New Jersey, where temperatures could push to 67, 68 degrees by the time we get to this afternoon. We did have a few passing showers move through the region earlier on. They are going to be exiting out into the Atlantic over the next 2 hours. So Connecticut, you're going to be dodging a few showers this afternoon, but for the most part, most of the showers are not reaching the ground. Rest of the region to the west is pretty much high and dry. I can't rule out an isolated shower this afternoon for everyone else, but for the most part, we're looking at broken cloud cover to sky cloud cover the rest of the afternoon with very comfortable weather conditions. Now, a cold front is going to be moving through tonight with a few more additional rain and snow showers possible. I say snow showers only because in northern interior, the highest elevations could mix in a little bit of snow. No accumulations expected, though. So this cold front moves through, and tomorrow we end up a bit cooler. Temperatures in the lower to mid 30s for lows, lower to mid 40s for highs in the afternoon. Not too bad, but certainly still below normal for this time of year, and not as enjoyable as the weather conditions for this afternoon. Now, there's a lot of talk about a major winter storm for Tuesday and Wednesday. Some sources are even calling it a winter bomb or weather bomb or some other crazy nonsense. Let's go over the data. Now, I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying there won't be a storm. I'm saying we need to back off a little bit, chill out, and look at the pattern overall. And let's chill out with the sensationalism, okay? The weather bomb. That's one way to get people to get very concerned and scared about a storm, calling it a bomb. Everyone thinks of, a natural disaster or something of that nature, or a major man-made disaster with something of that nature. So let's talk about what we're dealing with here. This is the pattern right now on the water vapor satellite picture. And there are a couple of key factors I want to point out. The first one is there is no blocking in the northwestern Atlantic. We're looking at basically a positive to neutral North Atlantic oscillation. What you want to see is a big old upper level low, like this type of upper level low, sitting right about here. Okay, and that pretty much just sits there and spins and blocks up the pattern. That's not there. That's strike number one. Strike number two, you want a sustained, note my phrase there, sustained ridge over the Rockies. Well, strike number two is this upper level low nicely progressing towards the Gulf of Alaska. This is an indication of a progressive pattern. Now, it's not a wish. It's not like, oh, I hope it does stay east, or I want it to stay east despite model guidance. No, this is reality, ladies and gentlemen. This is a progressive pattern here. And notice everything's moving from west to east at a nice steady flow. Stating that, we have a lot of energy over the subtropical jet stream, a lot of energy. We have a lot of energy associated with our Pacific pattern, taking some disturbances from the Arctic and dropping them south. There is no doubt in my mind that we're going to be seeing a very strong storm developing off the East Coast. What I have doubt in is it being able to stay close enough to the coast to produce a heavy snow or precipitation event. I have no doubt we're going to see strong winds from this storm and some coastal flooding because this is a strong storm. What it's going to be doing is it's going to be taking disturbances from here and disturbances from here, this one right here, in fact, and they're going to interact and phase over the Gulf Stream. Now, the Gulf Stream is a very warm body of water. It's right about here, okay? Now, the Gulf Stream, what it does is that it helps to enhance storms because of the strong thermal gradient. And in this case, everything's lining up just right for this low pressure system to take advantage of a cold air mass coming into the northern mid-Atlantic and the very warm waters over the Atlantic, which are starting to warm up for this time of year. And that thermal interaction is going to allow for a very strong storm to develop. The only problem is that the 500 millibar pattern is a little bit progressive. What that means is that everything's kind of moving at a steady pattern west to east. So the storm track, even as the storm is intensifying, is gradually being pushed east as it's intensifying. So this is not a case or a slam dunk case where this storm has to track west. I've seen that a lot. That if the storm's going to explode, it has to track west. No, it doesn't. Okay, if there was blocking in the Atlantic, I would buy that idea that it has to track west. Now, if the phase happens over the Atlantic at just the right time, and everything here lines up briefly just right, then the track could shift a little bit further west, and you get the heaviest precipitation right along the coastal plain. However, I would like to point out that aside from the Canadian model guidance about 2 days ago producing a dual low pressure system along the coast, not one model, going back to let's say Thursday, okay, not one model has had the track anywhere to the west or anywhere along the benchmark, which is 40 north, 70 west. And not one model, not one, has had the heaviest precipitation. That is the 1 inch plus precipitation, which if you have 850 millibar temperatures below freezing would be very heavy snow. Not one model guidance has had that along the coastal plain. It has constantly kept it off the coastal plain since Thursday. That's kind of a pretty significant indication, and supported by what we're seeing here right now in the water vapor satellite picture. So, yes, this storm has to be watched. You cannot write it off yet, obviously. I'm not saying, hey, don't worry about it. It's going to be sunny on Tuesday and Wednesday. Not saying that. Haven't said that. What I am saying is that right now, based on the pattern I see here, I don't see the support for this track being further west, unless the timing of the phase of these two disturbances here and here happen at just the right time. Now, the latest 12Z model guidance from the GFS is in, and now we're starting to get better sampling of this whole pattern. So I'm going to show you the GFS model guidance, but note that throughout the afternoon I'll also keep you updated as the other models come in and as we get more and more data, better data. By tomorrow morning, we should have optimal data sampling of this whole setup. And by then, if there's going to be a shift to the west in this storm track, it'll start to show up by tonight and especially by tomorrow morning. And again, that basically is driven by the idea that the phase happens at just the right time. So let's take a look at the GFS model guidance. Again, for this afternoon, it's going to be very pleasant and comfortable out. Tonight, we have some scattered cloud cover, temperatures falling into the lower to mid 30s over the interior, mid to upper 30s along the coast. Could be a few isolated showers here and there. For tomorrow afternoon, again, a few isolated showers moving through with a cold front passing through. Temperatures much cooler in the lower to mid 40s for highs. Could be a couple of upper 40s in southwestern New Jersey. For Monday, it's our cold day, relatively, especially with temperatures in the mid 30s. We have high pressure overhead, sky cloud cover, clear skies in the morning. That's going to allow temperatures to fall into the lower to mid 20s for lows, very chilly for this time of year. And then temperatures rebound on Monday into the lower to mid 30s for highs. Again, I want to stress this very, very clearly. This is the coldest day of the entire period with the high pressure system right overhead. Also want to point out our high pressure system is moving east. That's kind of an indication of this pattern being progressive. And also notice we have a weak trough here around the Canadian Maritimes, but look what happens about 12 hours later. That trough is giving away. We have no 50-50 low around the Canadian Maritimes, just a very weak trough, a progressive trough lifting up towards Greenland. Now, here we are on Tuesday afternoon. Now, what do I mean by a perfect phase? Well, you see this disturbance and this disturbance. See how they start to interact and start to form one negatively tilted trough? The way this is set up right now, if this track is going to be a little bit further west and get this heavy precipitation right here along the coastal plain, okay, in order to have this lifting apparatus right here along the New Jersey coast, what you need to have on Tuesday morning are these two disturbances phasing about 6 hours earlier. It's possible, but the problem here is what's going on in the west. You see this upper level low moving in? See how this ridge just keeps on moving right along to the east and getting flatter as it's doing so? Well, those are warning signs that everything is being shifted east. Everything. Okay, not just the storm, the entire pattern as a whole. So that's why you're seeing with every model run the heaviest precipitation remaining off the coast. And also notice that 700 millibars, we have a lot of dry air trying to invade here. And notice that the relative humidity falls from 90 to 70% over the coastal plain here as the storm is lifting north and east. And normally when you have a strong 700 millibar low like this intensifying, that leads to a very sharp precipitation cutoff, which is what we're trying to start to see here with the model guidance. Again, you can't really pinpoint it just yet, but we're starting to see that evolve. So what I'm trying to say here, what I'm trying to explain to you is that yes, there will be a major powerful storm off of the East Coast. I think that's pretty much clear based on all the data we see here. What we are uncertain about is the track of this storm. And right now, my instincts tell me, and everything that I know that I've learned in meteorology, tell me that there are far too many warning signs suggesting a more of an eastward track to this storm than a westward track. There are far too many factors pointing more towards the east than the west. Now, if this phase happens a little bit earlier and just the right time, forcing this storm track to move more north-northeast rather than east-northeast, then definitely you have a major problem here setting up for Tuesday night into Wednesday, which would lead to a very heavy snowfall. A March heavy snowfall that would be historic. Let's be honest here. Climatology overall really doesn't support a major heavy snowfall beyond March 15th. It doesn't really happen all that much. So it would be a very impressive event. But again, there's a reason why in late March you don't see these type of events. It's because the pattern's starting to change. You start to get a higher sun angle. There's a lot of factors here coming into the fact that you really don't see these type of events this late in the season. But still, stating that fact, okay, we'll have to watch this storm. We're starting to get into the time period where the global models really start to pick up on the track here. Not necessarily the details as far as snow amounts or rain snow lines or stuff like that. Those are mesoscale features. But as far as the track overall and the overall 500 millibar pattern, this is when we start to get the global models locking in. So we'll learn a lot over the next 24 hours exactly where this storm's going to track. But again, so far all indication points to this storm track being far enough east to keep the heaviest precipitation off the coast. Look for very windy conditions Tuesday into Wednesday, and some coastal flooding will be a threat on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So if you're along the coast, hey, this is still going to be a impact for you as far as the coastal flooding is concerned. Right now, I still like the idea of sticking with rain, snow showers until we get more data to really support anything worse than that as of right now. But clearly, Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be very windy days. throughout the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. Temperatures on Tuesday and Wednesday look for mid to upper 20s for lows and upper 30s to lower 40s for highs, thus the rain and snow forecast. If the storm sets up right over the region, then what you're dealing with on Tuesday night into Wednesday is temperatures falling off and staying in the 30s rather than topping off in the 40s as we are forecasted right now, because you have heavier precipitation, stronger lifting, cooler environment, so on and so forth. By the time we get to Thursday, high pressure takes control and we start to moderate very nicely as the Pacific air mass invades the entire northern mid-Atlantic. By Saturday, we start to see rain showers move through with a fast-moving progressive cold front. Temperatures on Thursday in the mid to upper 20s for lows, mid to upper 40s for highs. Friday, mid to upper 30s for lows, mid to upper 50s for highs. And on Saturday, lower to mid 40s for lows and lower to mid 60s for highs. So again, we'll watch this storm. You see what I'm seeing now. We'll see how it works out. Again, I'm not saying there will definitely be no storm at all. What I'm saying to you is that the data that I'm looking at, and my experience that I know of and I've experienced, obviously, tells me this should be further east, not further west. We have to see how the data comes in. You know what I'm going to be looking for if the track is further west, an earlier phase. The phase is about 6-8 hours earlier, game on. But right now, based on everything I'm seeing, well, if I was looking for a major winter storm pattern, even in late March, this is not the pattern I'd be looking for. Okay? So that's just a fact. I'm not wish casting or anything like that. If you could look at Coastal News Lee's excellent book, Snowstorms Along the East Coast, all the data is right there. If you want a major storm like this, being a major snowstorm, typically what you want is a 50-50 low, a locked-in ridge. You do not want an upper-level low slamming into the west coast. You want a sustained, locked-in pattern, and typically a little bit colder air mass. So, we'll see how it evolves over the next 24 hours. That is your forecast discussion for today. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn. Have a wonderful day, and as always, stay safe out there.